Welcome to TFL Studios live show. It's a weekly thing.
That's right. Happy Monday, guys. We hope you guys have had a terrific past week, and we've got some great news for you and a lot of talk.
Yeah, and this is kind of a forum where we just chat, and we can answer your questions. So we see the chat room. We talk about news.
Yep.
And one thing that I noticed last Friday, actually, as I was just, leaving for the week, I was Googling. I was trying to see truck prices, right, like I always do. And I saw that the new 2021 Ford Raptor, the third generation, the new truck,
Right.
is already reaching some dealers, right?
Which is good.
Good news.
Yes.
But the not so good news is that most of the dealers had markups. Can you guess what some of these markups are?
Well, I know that a while ago we saw a couple Raptors for around 100 grand. When we were looking for Raptors, this is before COVID.
Right. This was the old generation one.
Yeah. It
Yes.
was the previous generation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say they're marked up to 200 grand or so.
No. I saw several Ford Raptors at 133,000. 133. So here's what's happening. So as you may have seen, we've covered the new Raptor in detail.
Yeah, you've been all over it.
I actually got to drive it, which was huge. I mean, a big deal for all
Right.
of us here at TFL. And it's an improved truck, nice truck. The interior is great. The rear suspension is great.
Yeah, the new 37-inch tires.
37-inch tall tires. And that truck is about 80 grand. If
Okay.
you were to configure the 37 package, which is still a lot of money, but it has all these features, right?
Yeah, but it's not 130 something grand.
No. So then, what dealers are doing? They're putting up another $50,000 on top of it.
I have one for you that Zach told me about. So one dealership is asking, I believe it's $126,000 for the new Bronco, the same one that we have.
It wasn't a dealer. It was at Mecum.
Oh, at
Last
Mecum.
weekend in Dallas. Yeah.
Yes, that was an auction.
At Mecum.
It's kind of market value. That kind of shows.
It's double its price, almost
I know.
exactly.
I know, but so a lot of you, thank you for joining, by the way. And some of the comments I already saw here in the chat room, you guys are saying, are they even building any?
Good
Because
question.
of part shortages and etc. Well, that's a great question, because that's why the prices are going up. Because it's a brand new vehicle like the Bronco is and the Raptor is, but there's short supply and people still want new vehicles.
Yeah, supply and demand, and they're able to get away with this. Can I give you guys a suggestion, just based on my past with dealerships? If a local dealership is asking unreasonable money for even a basic truck, let's say an F-150, a Chevy, whatever, remember that dealership and remember what they did, because eventually prices will come back down when chips regain and everything
And the
goes
supply
back.
is
Right,
there,
right.
yeah.
And remember that dealership and walk away from them. Mark them. That's what I say. I cannot stand how dealerships are taking advantage of buyers.
Yeah, and so in the world of internet, right, you have an option. You can look further, right?
Right.
So there's nothing stopping you from going to the next major city, the next state maybe. And yes, you might have to pay shipping cost of some sort to get a vehicle from another delership, or maybe sometimes not.
Sometimes not.
Right,
Depends.
because sometimes dealers can trade.
Right, some of them
certain
do have,
vehicles. Right.
yeah, especially larger ones. But dealerships are funny, and I wanted to mention something about used vehicles, if you don't mind. I actually did a little bit of research, and I went online.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I went online is because I'm about to sell a 1996 Chevy Blazer, one that was used in a new upcoming video series.
You guys are asking about this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
No,
don't
go
have
ahead,
all the
interrupt.
names.
No.
All the names here are kind of melding together, but Jason and Connor and everybody has joined us. Somebody asked, what happened to the old truck series or used cheap truck series?
Right.
Well, it's coming in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
Yes.
Stay tuned for it. We had to put together all the episodes, and there's more than one. There's, I believe, 4 episodes.
Well, 4 to 5.
Or even 5.
Yes.
So a lot of stuff. This is one of our biggest series, even though it's not.
Well,
It's one of our biggest, but it's not our biggest.
We put a lot of energy into
We
this
put a
one.
lot of
Yeah,
energy
yeah.
into this. So we are getting rid of some of the rides from that, and I've been charged, I guess you could say, with getting rid of a 96 Blazer. Now, what I did was, and what a lot of you guys would do is I went online and I looked at Marketplace on Facebook, and I also looked, of course, on Craigslist. And locally, something very interesting was happening. The dealerships were absolutely overpricing the hell out of these vehicles, while people who have them at home are trying to sell them for like $2,500 and even $3,000 when they don't run right. So we're talking about a 1996 Chevy Blazer, not even the ZR2, four-wheel drive. And some of these dealerships are asking for like over $5,000.
For a vehicle that you've priced
At around between $2,200 and $3,200 is where it would sit. If it runs well and is in decent condition and relatively low mileage, relatively means under 200,000 miles. Remember, we're talking 96. Some of these prices were absolutely extraordinary. And then the ones from home, these guys were asking for $2,500 for basically something that doesn't run. And that is kind of what's crazy here, because if you went back a year ago, dealerships wouldn't even be bothering to sell this vehicle because they weren't worth anything. And now they're trying to get inventory. So they're going into auctions, they're grabbing them from wherever they can, they bring them in, they clean them up a little bit, pump up the price, and they will sell them. And that part is just crazy.
Yeah, but I think the economy and the market is affecting every vehicle.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, totally. And I can see dealerships. By the way, I feel really kind of bad for a lot of dealerships out there because they're out of inventory.
I don't feel bad for them at all.
They need to do something.
Yeah.
All Terrain Nation has just donated $4.99. Thank you,
All Terrain. Hey, dude,
yes.
What's up? Thank you.
Thank you for donating, and thank you for watching, and thank you for just being with us.
Well, also working with us.
Yes.
Yes, we appreciate that. What's up, bud guy?
I wanted to mention All Terrain Nation is saying too big dealer here today. CDN user, the comment directly before that mentions there is no law that I'm aware of that prevents dealers setting their own prices. Wanted to make clear, we're not insinuating that dealers are doing anything illegal here.
Never said that.
With the markup, it's just kind of crazy.
It's what I like to call bad karma. And no, the dealership can charge whatever they want.
Perfectly legal.
A really good example of that, remember when the PT Cruiser came out, that hunk of iron? Dealerships were charging almost double for those things at first. Was it illegal? No, but some of those dealerships really had a hard time selling them shortly after they came out. And that is the thing I'm referring to. Now, you may work at a dealership, and I apologize if I've offended you. I don't care, because I think that most dealerships, especially used ones, are unscrupulous in their tactics, especially right now. That's my own standing. You can send your emails directly to me. But otherwise, right now, because there's a lack of inventory, they're grabbing whatever they can, all dealerships, and I'm seeing really old hunks of junk on dealership floors that normally sell fairly high-end vehicles.
Yeah, because they're trying to survive also.
Yeah.
Their business is trying to survive. And Area 51, thank you for your donation of $5.
Thank you.
We'll get to your comment in a second. I just wanted to make another comment. MSRP. It stands for Manufacturer Suggested Retail Price. So it's the price the value that the manufacturer has put in that vehicle, right?
Right.
And they carefully design for that and carefully set those prices because they want customers also, right? They want people to buy it, and they want to be fair. But some trucks, from 2 years ago, huge discounts, right?
Sure.
You could walk in and find $10,000 off, $15,000 off.
Under MSRP is what a lot of people would do.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean how much the dealership has invested in the vehicle that's on their lot. It doesn't necessarily mean how much it costs to build the truck. It's what the automaker is setting for what they consider a fair price. And sometimes you'll see dealerships that will use Kelley Blue Book, KBB, as a reference as well. And I personally do not agree with some of KBB's assessments, including used cars, but they'll use that as well, and then they'll try to shove that into what you're buying. So you might see a used car dealership say, well, the MSRP would be around this, and this is what KBB says, so we're going to set this price. That's up to them.
But also check it yourself.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Don't trust whatever the used car dealer is telling you. Look around, check the things
That's
yourself.
exactly it, and that's what I was doing. You go on a couple different sites, and you're going to be able to figure out exactly what the price really is for that vehicle.
So we have to get to some of these sponsored comments.
Yes, please.
So Area 51 says, can you imagine all these people paying these high prices that will end up getting burned after the chip shortage is completed?
My point exactly.
Yes. The question is, when is it going to be completed? Or when we will recover? And we don't know this.
No.
And then Alejandro Ordonez, I hope I say this correctly.
I think that was pretty close.
Donated another $5. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. And I don't know if Alejandro has a question or comment, but we'll get to you in a second.
If you do, throw it in there, guy.
So I just was recently, on our podcast show, Roman recently interviewed the CEO of Ram, Mike Koval. And Roman asked Mike, who is the CEO of North American Ram Truck.
Right, he's the dude.
Big dude.
Yeah.
Very important. He said he could not, none of us has a crystal ball. That's basically what was his answer was. We don't know when this is going to be resolved. And it's all not just chip shortages. That's like what gets most of the headlines, right?
Right, you're hearing about that, but there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, so you heard about like fuel injection computers, other chips, other processors, other computers, but it can be something as simple as a tow hitch. It can be something as as more complex than that. It could be doors, it could be glass, it could be tires, right?
Yep.
Wheels are in short supply.
And also remember COVID, of course, and there's still some long-lasting effects from what happened last year, not to mention what's already going on now. So if you combine all of that together, you have more than chip issues. However, I do have something to say about the chip thing.
Yes.
Which is that there's a lot of automakers out there. Remember, there was also a fire at a chip factory in Japan, I believe.
Or in Taiwan, or somewhere.
It was Japan, do you recall? Overseas in Asia, and it burned down a large chip manufacturing facility, and that also helped, this whole tidal wave of chip shortages. But a lot of automakers, almost all of them, are in the process of building additional factories that can turn out some of these chips that they need in order to keep going. And they're in process of being put together, and they're moving as fast as they can. With that being said, they have not given an end date to this issue, and I think it's going to be, personally speaking, just a guess, I think it's going to be well into 2022 at this point.
Yeah, it seems to be going that way. So I think some of the comment from some of you guys, can I just wait 2 months and let it be done?
It's going to take a little more, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you should wait. So some people are just, upgrading to a new vehicle so they can wait.
Yep.
But let's say your vehicle is broken down.
Right.
You need something new. That's a tough situation.
That's it. Well, and I was in that situation, and so was one of our camera guys. We had a vehicle that got smashed, and we were, okay, so here's the insurance, and suddenly you have to go out in the ether and find something to replace it, and now is one of the worst times to buy a new vehicle, and it's very difficult to buy a decent used vehicle for a reasonable price. And as I said, I've just been there. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little ticked off about how some dealerships function. Another thing that some of you guys might be curious about, I'm curious if there's any questions about it, is that there are some manufacturers out there that still have cars on lots and are still building them because they actually had a little bit of a surplus on chips. A really good example of that, believe it or not, Volkswagen. Volkswagen was able to build 7,000 Teos, little tiny SUVs that we reviewed, and get them out there to lots in advance. And that was before the shortage. So they had a little bit of a surplus that they were able to kick out there. And there are other automakers that have done that as well.
Yes. Big thanks to Jeffrey Balandra for donating $4.99 as well.
Thank you.
So your generosity is awesome. And
yes.
Of course, this helps us not just to run this live show, but just in general, if you think about all of you guys who support us, it makes a big difference.
It does. We're able to do what we do because of you guys.
So, nobody mentioned something like VW or Mitsubishi, I think, is another one.
They actually still have, they're turning out
a lot of inventory as well.
But it's Mitsubishi. So
but
their sales have gone up,
yeah.
and the point is that some of the large ones, like you've heard of Toyota, they had to idle 40% of their
that's what their prediction
overall
is,
prediction
for this year.
Which Toyota,
it's huge. You know what else is huge? Manuel Gonzalez's donation, $20.
Wow, thank you very much. We appreciate
huge.
that.
Manuel says, I would never buy over MSRP. I would just wait until MSRP changes, which means now to automakers it has become more expensive to build. Thanks to TFL for your view. That's a really great comment.
Yeah.
So like price of steel, raw steel is going up.
Yep.
Raw aluminum, etc. Tires.
Hell, even wood's going up a little
Everything,
bit.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know too many Raptors built out of wood, but there's wood on the new Ram truck interiors and other truck
I
interiors.
have a feeling that's not the major culprit of the slowdown, but the point is that everything, all materials are, and some of the stuff has to do with trade stuff that has been going on for years and years and years with China. A lot of it has to do with overseas networking, and then of course everything that we're going through now with the shortages and all that. So it's just a snowball effect on the auto industry. It affects other industries too, by the way.
Totally. Well, everything.
Computers.
Also motorhomes, some other vehicle, trailers,
Yep.
motorhomes, computers, televisions, you name it. Sorry, I'm
No,
there's
well,
so
I
much
figured you were gonna make
information
a.
there. So I wanted to make a comment about MSRP. So
Yeah.
manufacturer suggested price,
Right.
like Manuel was just saying. So what I wanted to say, so when the new generation of truck comes out, like the Raptor, and we're seeing it right now, obviously they add a lot of technology in. They, maybe they improve, the powertrains or suspensions. In this case, they worked in the suspension in a big way.
Right.
They left most of the chassis, like the frame itself was mostly carryover.
Right.
They've done, different updates, and a huge update was the rear coil suspension that they put in the Raptor.
New interior too, right?
Yes, and they also removed the old. Well, the previous generation had the shorter cab.
Yeah.
The super cabs no longer available in the Raptor, right? So they do all these changes, and the MSRP goes up.
Right.
So it used to be the Raptor technically started at about 54, 55 grand.
Right.
Now the crew cab, that's the only way you can get a Raptor, starts at 65 with destination charges. So it went up about $8,000 to $9,000, depending on how you look at it.
And what you're saying, to recap, is that you're talking about, well, it has a more advanced suspension, there's more components, new interior, standard larger cab. These types of things are all part of that, and that's why they boosted the MSRP.
Yeah, and for example, and of course TRX MSRP is higher for many different reasons, right? TRX has started 72 with destination charges, and Dan Atkinson, thank you for your donation, $5. Dan, actually you're coming out later this week. I think Dan is actually going to come through Denver.
That's fantastic.
So Dan, we'll see you very soon. Dan's question, I'll get to it in a second. I also saw most TRX's markups.
Oh yeah.
So TRX is another hot commodity, very high-profile halo vehicle for Ram, right? I saw TRX's. Let me look at my story on TFLtruck.com. 139.
139,000. Something that's connected to that. We had a Lamborghiniurus for just a few days.
I remember you pulled up in that.
Yeah, I was rolling. I was a pimp. But that vehicle was located at a dealership down south in Colorado, and it was Cherry Creek area and all that. So they also had Maseratis, and you know what else they had on the lot? A brand new TRX that was next to a Maserati.
That's an exotic car dealership?
Exotic car dealership here in Colorado. I don't want to give them a shout out because they don't deserve it, but the point is, they had that on the lot. Now this was 8 months ago, 7 months ago, something like that, and they had a $125,000 price tag on the vehicle, and it had been purchased from Ram and went to this dealership to be resold, so it was a flip vehicle. Hell of a thing to do.
Yeah, there you have it. So TRX is not immune to this, and a lot of other trucks are actually selling for over MSRP.
Right.
Dan Atkinson's question is, do you think manufacturers could use chips from wrecked vehicles in building new ones?
I think that they could, but there's a liability issue. And I think that that's really the component. Let's say you got something out of a wrecked vehicle and you put it into a new vehicle and sold it as new. And let's say just 1 out of 100 or even 1 out of 1,000, that component failed. That means that you would be on line, you the automaker, for the liability of having that component fail, even if it had nothing to do with it. So I don't think automakers could do that. Now, used cars, totally different story. Absolutely, cannibalize all the parts. This Mitsubishi I just bought, well, some of the parts actually came off of a older generation vehicle, which really ticks me off because not everything fits, I just found out. But the point is that, yeah, it's not something I think a new car dealership or an automaker could really do and get away with.
Yeah,
is that a fair answer?
It's very true. I wanted to add to that point, Dan, that a lot of the components, and for example, on the new 2021 F-150 that I have,
yes,
Actually, they left an additional component at the factory. Under the seat, I found a little processor. It looked like just a plastic thing with a motherboard on it. It was a chip. This was months ago.
In your truck?
Under my seat.
Oh,
there was
dude,
an extra
sell
component.
that on eBay.
But my point is not to sell it on eBay. My point is that on it says throwaway way if dropped. So it was part of the system that was designed. If it wasn't an accident, I think it was actually meant for some sort of a fuel cutoff circuit.
Right.
So if you're in the accident, there's some components in your truck or car that are designed to be one use only.
Like airbag components too.
Airbag components, some other safety components.
Sure, that makes total sense.
Fuel system.
Fuel shutoff, right.
Fuel shutoff. So let's say, oopsie, I just dropped it on the ground and I'm trying to resell it to somebody as brand new. That's really not doable.
Except for used car dealerships, that'll do that too.
Felipe Martinez, $1 donation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's got a sweaty little emoji.
Oh,
I'm sorry we're making you sweat.
well, no, it's just about everybody else in the nation right now is either underwater or burning up. So he's probably in a hot region, I'm guessing.
Yes, so
We're actually having a nice day today, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, relatively cloud cover. Yeah.
Compared to what we have had.
So, I'm sorry, it's hard to get to all the comments. Between the TRX and the Bronco, you guys are sitting on 200K, somebody says. Well,
even more possibly.
Could potentially be true. Roman actually was looking for used TRX prices, because you mentioned used TRXs.
Yeah.
There is a truck in our area, used Ram TRX, first launch edition.
Right, the launch.
With about 2,600 miles for about 108 grand. Which was like a $95,000 truck.
Right, that's not a huge markup, but it's a used vehicle.
But it's a private owner is selling it.
Right. Well, that's one of the things I noticed. Private owners usually are much more reasonable about pricing than dealerships.
I guess you could have said 200,000.
Well, you know what? There may have been, if he got someone to autograph it or something like that and called it a special one-off edition, probably could have asked that.
There's also a question here about TFL bids. So TFL bids, we're no longer. We closed the site basically.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
We tried it. We tried something new. That's what this is about, right? And it wasn't. We weren't getting enough people kind of buying and selling.
Right. So it's something, but we'll always try new stuff in the future. So we may do TFL bikini. I'm still trying to convince Roman. I'm working on it.
But
you're welcome.
But not Nathan and I. Thank you. Like Sergio says, thank you. He's joining from Mexico, so we really appreciate all of you guys watching.
Thank you very much.
So there was a few comments in the beginning of the show, also had to do with the Silverado ZR2.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up.
Big news with that truck.
Yeah, huge. That was last week's basically. It was a big splash. They unveiled their latest 2022 Silverados.
And before you get started, I want to ask you a question when you're done with it. Your opinion about that vehicle regarding a powertrain.
Will do. And I actually got a chance to crawl around the truck, the ZR2, and actually sit in it and poke a lot of buttons and look at the system.
Did you go underneath?
Yes, of course.
Of course you did.
I saw mud underneath.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This was a show truck, like a prototype with mud. Frank Ford, $5 donation.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Why no regular cab, short bed trucks, new models?
Lack of popularity.
Basically.
Yeah.
So
Toyota has stopped doing it, and they were one of the last ones to do it with their little Tundra or Tacoma.
In fact, come to think of it, I think the only trucks that you can get it is heavy duties. Heavy duties, for example, just working trucks, 2500s, 3500s.
Right, fleet trucks too.
Fleet trucks, and some of the half tons offer that still. So certain configurations like F-150, even Silverado, but no short beds. Here's the thing. Most of those, in fact, all of those configurations are 8-footers.
Right.
They're basically fleet work vehicles.
Exactly, and they're built for work.
Commercial vehicles.
Right.
So short beds are sold actually overseas in other markets, and some aftermarket companies like our friends at Pax Power actually build shorter versions of these trucks.
Right.
So yeah.
Right, which is good for certain things like off-roading.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of outpouring of support.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys.
B.A, another $5 donation.
Thank you.
And we can't even get to all the comments. B.A says, would love to have you guys out to the Mack truck plant in Pennsylvania. Hook you up with a test.
Send an email to this man. He's extraordinarily interested and he's licensed to drive it.
I have a CDL. If you email us at ask@tfltruck.com, most of us here are on that alias, and we'll of course reach out to you, and you reach out to us. So thank you very much. I would love to do some videos with Mack trucks.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
You got to wear your hat, your trucker hat.
So yeah, thank you. We were on Silverado topic.
Yes.
Yes.
So the new Silverado, you got a chance to crawl all around and not drive, but he got a chance to really get into it, get into the weeds, and he could tell us all about the powertrain, the axles, which is my favorite part, and some of the new updates. And go. No,
One second.
Yeah.
Stingray Z and Capra Verba says, Andre, you are wrong. And they said F-150 still comes in a 2-door short bed. And now I remember, yes, it does. Because it's some of them are 5-liter trucks, actually. So they're little, like, almost like the Spirit of the Lightning.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I haven't seen any out here.
And actually, they're not super short beds. I think they're 6.5s. So let me know if I'm right.
Okay. Let's continue with the Silverado. And I'm wrong as well. So, I mean, I totally didn't know that. So the Silverado, it's not all new, right? Still the same platform?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Boston Dan, $5 donation.
Thank you.
It's using the same frame, the Silverado lineup. And I actually, when I was crawling underneath the ZR2, as I would, I was actually asking some of the folks at Chevrolet, I was like, well, is the chassis, did you change the chassis? Did you make it wider or longer or whatever? They said, no, basically the frame is already stout enough.
Yeah.
They built up the ZR2 and all the other trucks on the same chassis, which is true. I mean, it's fully boxed frame that they redesigned recently. And we have another 2 donations. Oh my God. Anthony Young, $4.99.
Thank you, Anthony.
And
Appreciate it.
Christian Esquivel. Thank you. Also, I'm sorry.
It's worth it just to hear him trying to say your name.
Anthony Young writes something in Russian, so thank you very much. Oh, it says hello from Columbus, Ohio. So hello, Columbus.
Hello, Columbus, Ohio. Hope you guys are doing all right.
That was in Russian, by the way.
Как дела?
And Christian says, just traded in my 2018 Kia Optima for a new Ranger. They gave me $3,500 over what I paid for the Optima.
Wow.
Wow. So that is, it's affecting every vehicle.
Right. And it's not necessarily just a dealership that's going to say, okay, I'm going to give you more money for it. There are larger organizations out there, even rental car fleets are so desperate for vehicles to get out there that they're buying newer used vehicles and putting them out as rentals, which is unheard of.
Yes. $10 donations from Vance Johnson.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Vance. Awesome.
Vance says, great job to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Andre, love you, loaf of bread. I think you're referring to my Buhanka Russian van.
So.
Nathan, I'm really glad you call those dealerships out on their selling practices. So thank you.
Thank you. It's something that really gets under my skin.
And there's another question about the Buhanka. Scott Mazel asks, how many chips are in my Buhanka Russian van? And I can confidently say there's one.
One chip? You have a chip?
Yes, and I never thought I would have a Russian vehicle with a computer chip.
Yeah.
But it was later updated with fuel injection.
Oh, so you have the fuel injection.
So I have a fuel injection computer, which is about this big, and it's behind my seat.
It's like an Atari 2600 that he had to play. But it's, you know, his van is really cool. But let's go back real quick over to the ZR2.
Yes.
Do you have time?
And Cliffy77, $10.
Well,
Cliffy,
wow, thank you so much.
These are huge support. And
yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, especially in times like this, I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So I'm trying to circle us back around on ZR2 Silverado price.
Right.
Because they didn't announce it. And that's what a lot of the conversation was about.
Right.
Right.
Now here's where we stand. Now, we recently did a video doing a pyramid showing all the trucks leading all the way up to the ZR2 and above in terms of where they are with equipment, off-road capability, and all that stuff. And that's on TFL Talk.
Exactly. That's a podcast.
Right. So check that out. It's doing well too, by the way. And Andre did an excellent job putting them all together. The ZR2, as far as we can tell, sits below the TRX and the Raptor, which makes sense. I mean, it doesn't have the big supercharged or turbocharged powertrain, wide fenders and stuff, but it still has a lot of kit. So we can just assume that it's probably going to be less expensive than the Raptor. How much less? Impossible to tell.
Yeah, so the only way I can judge the ZR2, and this is my guess, because once again, I don't work for GM.
Yeah, but you're the Mr. Truck Jr. here.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate it. By the way, hello to Mr. Truck, Ken Sundling.
How you doing, y'all?
Is out there.
He knows.
Sergio, we'll get to you in just one second. The way to judge it is the Colorado lineup, right? Chevy Colorado. They have a ZR2.
And the Bison.
Yes, kind of a similar formula, right?
Right.
So they took a four-wheel drive Colorado, gave it upgraded suspension with DSSV Multimatic shocks.
Right.
Didn't give it extra power, but you have power options.
Right.
So they did this almost similar thing because the Trail Bus comes with a 6.2.
Right.
The 6.2 is available in the ZR2. They gave it different suspension, different tires, different interior. Brand new interior, by the way, guys, in the Silverado. Looks amazing.
Yeah.
It feels amazing. I think it's a big step to where they came, before. So I would take the base price of the 6.2 liter Trail Boss and add to it.
The question is how much?
So I was going to add about $5,000 to $6,000, which is similar to how Colorado pricing goes. Which to me, my guess would be that the ZR2 Silverado would start at about 59.
Really? I was going to say 62. That was just a ballpark guess for me.
I'm going to go 59.9.
Okay.
59.9999, because I think Chevy is going to be aggressive in their pricing strategy, because they need to get a foothold, right?
Right.
But they have so much equipment packed into this. I'm talking about the big screens, heads-up display,
right,
ventilated heated seats.
And let's not forget a front and rear locker.
Yes.
The ZR2 has one of the most, on paper, amazing setups for a half-ton truck out there. Remember, both the TRX and the Raptor, they don't have actuated locking front diffs. They have their own limited slip versions, but not like this. So this is a truck where you can actively lock the front and rear diff, and that to me is huge.
Yeah, and that adds to the price of the truck. So I think 59.9 is where they're going to be. That's. But let's see if we're right, or if you're right, maybe 62.
It's still in the ballpark, I think.
So it has to be less than the Raptor. You guys were right in your comments, because
I'm sure.
Raptor starts at about 65, 64, 65. ZR2 must come under it.
It must.
To be actually successful and popular and the rest of it.
Now I have a question, which some of you might be wondering, what about other powertrains for it? Because right now it's the 6.2 liter. They've got a new 2.7 liter 4-cylinder engine. It's still the old one, but it's been completely updated, that has 420 pound-feet of torque. 420.
And this is a small, lightweight engine.
4-cylinder, exactly. So, and also they have a straight 6 diesel.
Yeah.
Those two engines in the ZR2 would be phenomenal.
Absolutely, but we don't know if they're going to do it.
We don't know.
Sergio Leon Marquez, $2. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio.
What EVs do you see being popular? He thinks it's the ID4. So Sergio, we just tested an ID4. We did several tests. We also towed with it. I got to tow with it
on the iGauntlet.
Up the iGauntlet, the Tyke.
That's our new series, Tyke.
Because we're using smaller trailers.
And smaller vehicles.
That's why we called it Tyke. I was really impressed by it. How popular is it going to be? I think quite popular.
There's something else. We are going to be testing another ID4 in the very near future. The guys are on that, so stay tuned. That's coming real soon. That's going to be possibly some stuff from Chattanooga, I believe.
Yes, and also the new Ford Mach-E, Mustang Mach-E is quite popular. It's selling, well, considering everything else that's going on.
It's actually outsold the regular Mustang.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So I think some of these vehicles are gaining popularity as we speak. Nike had $10 donation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nike. I hope I'm pronouncing your username correctly. Completely off topic.
That's okay, we're good.
But 2006 4Runner 4x4 with 180,000 miles, or a 2008 Highlander 4x4 with 155,000 miles.
4Runner, I wouldn't even go there. 4Runner because it's more off-road worthy. You're talking to guys who go off-road. If you're serious about not going off-road, then the Highlander. Boom.
Yeah, he's mentioning light off-road usage. So your choice is really about fuel efficiency. The 4Runner is going to eat a little bit more fuel. It's taller, it's heavier, it's got chunkier tires.
But it's a truck.
But it's a frame-based vehicle.
Right.
It's a truck. I would also vote 4Runner because it's just cool.
They're really stout. The thing about a Highlander, my sister-in-law has one. They are really good vehicles, but it's like an enlarged station wagon. I do not recommend off-roading with them. We've tried before. They are okay in difficult terrain, and they're pretty good with winter conditions and whatnot. But if you're serious about doing even light off-roading, then you might want to just get the one that is really good at off-roading, and that would be the 4Runner.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Area 51 with another $5 donation. Thank you. And the comment here is in defense of new car dealers charging big markups on these trucks.
Please.
They need to make it up for lack of inventory, probably selling at a third of what they used to. That's a very fair comment.
And that you were going that direction.
I was going there because all these places are businesses.
Yep.
They're franchise businesses, smaller businesses, bigger businesses. They need to survive. They don't have inventory. What do? Maybe use the used car inventory, right?
In some cases.
Maybe some markups on some vehicles.
Yeah.
So we understand.
I understand that why they do it. I don't accept it because I think there are other ways. Here's another important point, by the way, just to take your argument, which it makes sense. Roman brought this up, and that is that Tesla is creating a new model and has created a new model for purchasing vehicles almost entirely online. Other automakers are starting to do that. I think that's the future, and I think that dealerships, mainly new ones, are in deep trouble because that, I think, is the future. That's all I got to say.
I would like to add to this in a slightly different way.
Okay.
I think not just maintenance, but also accessories is huge. And if any of you dealership people are listening, we recently were fortunate enough. We worked with Tim, a person who had the Ford Bronco reservation. We were able to get a Ford Bronco, and also in support of Ronald McDonald House, which is a great charity. So
I agree.
We were very, very happy with that. I called several Ford dealers. I wanted to add a hitch to it, and then maybe in the future adding some other items like a roof rack, systems, lights, etc. I had a bad experience with several dealerships in the area. They either redirected me to another business and then never called me back. And these are simple things. These are not difficult things.
That you would expect to have with a vehicle like this.
A hitch, extra light, a rack system. And I think that's an area where a lot of dealerships can expand, capitalize on. Now, a lot of manufacturers like Chevrolet, Ford, Ram with Mopar, and Jeep with Jeep Performance Parts. And many of them can actually make money and make business installing parts.
So to break this down and to end this, what you're saying is to help those dealerships, they should do more accessories and try to pad their costs that way instead of doing the massive markups.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, right there, I'm with you.
Boom.
Okay.
And and that includes actually changing maybe the way you used to do business. That's not easy, right? But maybe when you walk into the dealer, instead of just having, I don't know, several salesmen meeting you and greeting you with a vehicle in the showroom, what about having a display about off-road shocks or tires and get people excited?
I think it's a really good idea, and some dealerships do it and some don't. So anyway, guys, we've got to, you got someone else?
Kirk 189 with a $19.99 to $20 donation. So thank you, Kirk.
Thank you, Kirk. He has a question.
Kirk says, howdy guys, appreciate what you guys do. What do you guys think on the Gen 3 Eco Diesel? Oh, so the latest 3-liter. So this is a Ram 1500 engine. We haven't tested one in a while. So that's another thing that's happening in the business is press loan fleets are actually getting smaller and smaller.
It's getting harder to get vehicles. these
For
guys,
testing.
for testing. These guys are working night and day to try to get them. However, I can tell you that a good friend of ours is driving the first generation EcoDiesel, and he's managed to put a lot of miles on it, and he loves it as a tow vehicle.
Yes.
Secondly, we should be able to get our hands on an EcoDiesel in a couple different products, hopefully in the near future. Third, we did drive the second generation EcoDiesel in the Jeep Gladiator, not that far, or no, was it Gladiator or was it the?
It was a Gladiator.
It was a
recently.
Gladiator. Yeah, the red
It's
one.
a slightly different tune, right?
Right,
so
it
it's
is.
not quite the same engine.
But I mean, it got
But the latest
remarkable.
engine,
Yes,
yeah.
and it got remarkable gas mileage. Has great torque, and it's extremely expensive.
Yeah. So, the short answer is we haven't tested the Ram.
Right.
We might in the future, and that's just not because we don't want to, because we weren't able to get it.
Exactly.
But in the Jeep, especially the Gladiator, it's a really torquey engine, quite good, especially in the longer like highway trips, right?
Oh, it's fantastic,
Outshines
but
most
it's
things.
really, really pricey.
Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Be Kinder, $10 donation.
Thank you very much.
So Be Kinder says, I'm down here in Littleton and I'm interested in the 2022 Tundra. Is there a Toyota dealership down this way or around Boulder that you guys know of and trust? Appreciate you guys. Do you have any friends in Toyota space?
Well, it's just the one in Denver that I know of. That's the family one.
So we don't. We haven't interacted with many Toyota dealerships recently.
No, they just.
We've interacted with some like Johnson Auto Plaza.
Yep.
They sell GM and Ram and Jeep.
Right.
So we interacted with those guys. We love those guys over there. There's I don't know. Mountain States Toyota is what I've heard, but I don't have any personal.
I don't have any experience with them either.
Sorry about that. But there will be more news in this space coming soon.
Yes, so stay tuned for that very, very soon.
And
Wink.
very soon.
Yeah.
We cannot disclose everything right now.
Anything right now.
Anything.
But just stay tuned for really, really, really soon stuff. How about that?
Alejandro Ordonez, another $5 donation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. Have you ever compared the torsion differential to an electric locker? I understand is that torsion technology is different than the limited slip differential. Have we done scientific testing? No.
No.
Do we have experience with all of that?
Yes.
Hey, Andre, sorry to bug you.
Roman.
There's
Did
Roman.
you drop some big news today?
No, that's coming very, very soon.
Very soon.
Very, very soon. I would say within hours.
Wink.
And where should people go to get that news?
TFLtruck.com. TFLtruck.com, you should go there and also check out the latest news and then see all the details in the near future.
In the very near future, guys. So stay tuned for that. Buckle your seatbelts. Get ready for good stuff.
Also, get your popcorn
There you go.
or whatever your snack is.
Oh, check it out.
Guys, your outpouring of support is just.
It's fantastic.
I'm speechless, really.
I'm going to be able to buy new pants. It's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Joking.
NICAD, $2 donation.
Well, thank you, NICAD.
Second question. Which would be better for towing? Both V6. Oh, are you talking about the EcoDiesel? I'm sorry, NICAD. What was the other question?
It was the 4Runner versus Highlander. I'm sorry.
Oh, for towing.
Both are rated at the same.
Yeah,
5,000.
but the Highlander is probably a little bit more comfortable to tow with. But the bottom line, in my book, you want the truck-based vehicle.
Frame.
The frame to tow. It's just going to respond better, and it's going to give you better. By the way, we recently did a towing video with a 4Runner versus a Subaru. I kid you not. And that was a Tyke Ike, which is on TFL Car.
Exactly, and we have it actually written up on our websites.
That's correct.
It's on YouTube. You can check it out, TFL Car. Yeah, and we talk about all those differences.
That's correct.
Do you want to talk for another hour?
No, really, I don't. Honestly, it's gonna. It takes me about an hour and a half to get home in traffic like this. So, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up. We really appreciate all your support. This might be the most amazing
the
crowd
highest
out there.
supported show I think we've done.
I think we should do live all the time.
There you go.
I don't think
Let's
we can
talk to our bosses about this.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go well. Guys, thank you so much for your support, but we're going to sign off now. Remember, big news coming very soon. Go to TFL Truck for that.
Yes.
And with that, we will bid you a fine week, and we will see you later.
Yes, and let us know what other topics you want to see in the future too.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be looking at this
Yeah.
video later on and reading your...
And thank you, Brian, for your $5
Oh,
donation.
Brian, gosh, thank you.
Thanks, guys, and Roman in the background also thanks. And thanks to our producer, Zach, who is always working tirelessly on these shows.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zach. Uncle Zach, you're the
Uncle
best.
Zach, thank you.
He's smiling, and he's shaking his head because he knows we're idiots.
Thanks, guy.
Okay, thank you very much.
See you guys later. Great
Yeah.
week for all of you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, DJ.